Hey, yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Smart TCG, and today I'm going to be going over a variant of Raging Bolt that I personally think has a lot of potential right now, and that is going to be the Owlless version of Raging Bolt. Now, for the past couple of months, Raging Bolt paired up with the Noctowl engine has been the preferred way to play the deck. However, over the past couple of weeks, we've been seeing, especially overseas, this variant of Raging Bolt without the Noctowl engine beginning to see quite a bit of success. Most notably, at the Japan National Championships, Owlless Raging Bolt was able to take down the tournament, and I think it has quite a bit of potential. So I've built, with inspiration from that list, a 60 that I have really been liking, and I think this deck has a lot more potential than some people give it credit for. So with that being said, we're going to hop into the list, and then we're going to hop into a few games and show off, in my opinion, one of the more underrated decks in the standard format. So let's hop into it right here. We got 4 Raging Bolt EX with that Bellowing Thunder dealing 70 times 70 for each energy that you discard from your side of the board, being able to deal crazy amounts of damage. I do play 4 of these just for consistency purposes. Since you don't have the Noctowl engine, you're not necessarily always able to pick and choose what you want to put onto the board and draw, so having the thicker count of this card is just really nice for consistency purposes. We got 4 Teal Mask Ogerpon as well, just pure consistency as well. I know the Noctowl variant usually only plays 2 to 3 Raging Bolt and then usually 3 of the Teal Mask. I just have made these counts much thicker, which also really help with that turn 1 aggression. We have 2 Mew EX as well with that Restart, really good attack and ability on this card. You can sometimes use your genome hacking as you have the Crispin to be able to do that occasionally, but normally is just mostly here for that Restart ability. We have Raging Bolt, specifically the basic non-EX one with the Thunderburst Storm. Still a really good card, although Shaman exists in the standard format. Having access to a card that can still threaten bench snipes is really annoying for a lot of decks to deal with, and plenty of decks right now aren't even playing the Shaman, so this card remains still very viable currently. We have 2 Squawkabilly as well. This is a turbo deck, so you really do not want to prize your 1F Squawkabilly, and then your deck can sometimes fall apart. So having 2 Squawk is really nice in this deck to maximize the potential of you being able to actually get that turn 1 attack, which is what we're trying to do with this build. 1 Latias EX with that Skyliner ability for retreat is great. You do only play basic Pokemon. 1 Fezandipiti, 1 Iron Leaves for that Grimmsnarl and Charizard matchup. Very good to be able to use that Prism Edge to take big one-hit KOs. And then 1 Fan Rotom as well. I have opted to play this one of Fan Rotom, not because you can use the Fan Call, but because you have access to a 1 prizer that can turn 1, hit with that Assault Landing for 70, which can be very good, especially against decks like Charizard, just being able to knock out a Pidgey turn 1, or, potentially being able to knock out a Charmander. Being able to use that Assault Landing can be really good. I know some lists have been playing the Badoo, but I personally like having that Fan Rotom with the ability to Assault Landing on that first turn of the game. We have 4 Professor Sadas in this deck, 3 Crispin, 2 Boss's Orders, and 1 Judge to round out the supporters. And then moving on to the item cards, we have 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Earthen Vessel, 2 Pokégear. Since we don't play the Noctowl engine, you need more consistent ways to find those supporters, so playing a couple Pokégears is really good. We have 3 Night Stretcher, 1 Superior Energy Retrieval, and then 1 Prime Catcher. And for the stadiums of choice, we have 3 Area 0 Underdepths. I don't personally play the Jamming Tower. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Jamming Tower right now with, where the format kind of is. So I think that 3 Area 0 Underdepths is the way to go. I honestly have considered adding in a 4th one, but 3 has felt okay as of right now. And then we got 6 Grass Energy, 3 Lightning, and 3 Fighting to round out the list. So this is the list. If you're interested in the export as well of this list to import into TCG Live, you can check out the description. But with that being said, let's hop into some games and show off the potential of this deck. I think it's pretty good and one of the more underrated ways to play Raging Bolt. All right, let's hop into it. Alrighty, so hopping into it here, it looks like we are going up against the mirror match. Now, this is a matchup where I honestly like the Turbo Raging Bolt's chances, because if you go second, you're able to pretty consistently hit turn 1 attack. However, with the Rotom variant doesn't really hit consistently on the first turn, just because you are more of a Fan Rotom deck that just tries to slowly get going and then consistently be able to take KO after KO. So kind of a little bit of a trade-off. I feel like the Noctowl variants late games are a little bit stronger. However, the early game is definitely a lot shakier. So we'll see how we're able to do here. Going second is huge, though, in this spot, especially because we're very close to just actually being able to take a knockout here on this Raging Bolt EX in the active. We are going to need 4 energy, which is definitely quite a bit. However, based off our top deck, we could definitely be in a good position. So here is the Earthen Vessel being used, just getting a fighting energy. We're probably going to see that attachment here And then we'll use, or they'll use that Squawk and Seize here. Now, I definitely would have liked them just to grab a Lightning Energy. There's really no downside of doing that because your goal is to Sadas anyways at some point. So putting the Lightning in the discard is like also completely fine. Because technically you take a Lightning out of the deck, but you turn all your Sadas into Lightning Energy. So although you're taking a Lightning out of the deck, you actually increase your chances of finding the Lightning Energy by discarding, which is kind of an interesting thing in Pokemon. Sometimes there's, you know, those plays where sometimes getting rid of something means you're actually getting more back in return. So anyways, there's a second Raging Bolt hitting the board here. Now, they did discard their Prime Catcher, which is pretty important. What that means is I don't necessarily have to hit turn 1 KO because I could just hide for a turn as well behind a 1 prizer, and there's a reasonable chance they don't actually get a way to KO. So looks like we are going up against the mirror match. Now, definitely one of the more what is the word? Sketchy matchups, I feel like, just because it can kind of go both ways, and sometimes you don't have a full, like, I guess a whole lot of control over these games, but we'll see how we're able to do here. So anyways, looks like they got a pretty decent start here, and we'll see what we're able to do. Now, that's a pretty good top deck here. Very, very nice. I think we're going to start off here with, what do we want to do? We could just start with Teal Dance, see exactly where we want to take this turn. But also Earthen Vessel away this energy and just gets a Lightning. I don't hate that too. I guess that seems fine. So we could get 2 Lightning because we can ditch 1 and then we can attach 1 for turn to the Raging Bolts. That seems fine. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So we'll go discard this, get 2 Lightning. Seems okay. We'll go Teal Dance, see what we get here. A Raging Bolt or Latias just gets me there pretty much. So, okay, that was not the exact card I wanted. We use Nest Ball, just going to get ourselves down that Raging Bolt. Have the Latias in the deck. Looking pretty good here to get that turn 1 KO, but we'll see. We go Energy Attachment here, because now this means we're discarding the Lightning and getting rid of Grass is completely fine. But what this does now is it means that if I draw Sadas and Latias, I should just get there. I also need to get another ancient Pokemon too, but we'll see what happens. Squawk and Seize, discarding, drawing here, and there is the combo. Now, it's not as good as I would have liked it to be, since we did not get another ancient Pokemon, but it is made up by getting Prime Catcher, so that's good. So we'll start with Sadas here, going to attach that Fighting Energy onto the Raging Bolt. 1, 2, and 3. Got ourselves the Prime. I guess which one do we want to take out? Probably just the Teal Mask. Seems completely fine. Now, I also want to get down in the situation another Raging Bolt. That's pretty important. So we'll use that Ultra Ball here. Going to get rid of the Area 0. And also, at this point, I could get rid of Latias. I don't hate that just because I'm just simply going to be promoting a Raging Bolt anyways. So I don't really know how much I actually need this card, and potentially keeping this Grass Energy around could be important. Just thin this all out here. Get ourselves another Raging Bolt. Put this here. Use Prime Catcher. Bring up the Ogerpon. Then we'll just hit for 210, taking the knockout here. Feeling pretty good about this spot. Down to 4 prizes we go. Definitely feeling good. So here, most likely what's just going to happen is they're just going to Sadas and hit us back. Pretty likely they get the KO, but then we just got to Sadas and kind of do the same thing. We can just kind of copy each thing that they do, but since we took the first 2 prizes, we're favored matchup. However, we do still need to find the Sadas and things like Crispin. We have Crispin and Sadas in hand. Unfortunately, we don't have another Lightning in the deck, so we're going to have to Sadas, it looks like, these next couple of turns, but I'm going to be seeing so many cards with things like Fezandipiti, potentially Mew as well, and we know they're kind of locked into using their own Sadas on top of this, so things become a little bit iffy for them, definitely. So there is the Fezandipiti, there's Flip the Script. Now, they do have to find Sadas, and sometimes this Turbo variant does miss, which is why I built my list to be just super, super consistent, to rinse and repeat the same strategies over and over again. So there's a chance they potentially miss. We'll see. But let's see what they end up doing. The one thing that we know for sure is that we are going to have the ability to use the Sadas on the next turn. There is their Sadas, so looks like they will be able to get this knockout here, most likely. What energy are in the discard pile? Yep, 2 Lightnings, 1, 2, and 3. All they need is one more energy to take the KO. Definitely would like to get a Teal Mask on the board. That's something they probably want to get this turn. And at this point now, it kind of just comes down to us finding things like Night Stretcher, Superior Energy Retrieval as well. As long as I'm able to find those, I should be pretty okay. Here comes the Raging Bolt into the active spot. And yeah, we'll see what they're able to do here. They just need one energy. Now, we're not seeing an Ogerpon just yet, which means they might not have it. Okay, there it is. I was assuming they would have it, but yeah, things are looking okay as long as we find that Night Stretcher or Superior. As long as we get that, we have guaranteed KO. So we'll see. All right, there's Raging Bolt, Bellowing Thunder, or should be guaranteed KO, I guess. All right, we'll go promote Raging Bolts. Draw for turn. There's a boss's order. It's not really what I want right here. I think I'm going to start with the Ogerpon, just because if I draw into a Teal Mask, then I don't need a Nest Ball for Teal Mask, and like if I draw on like Raging Bolt, basically there's a lot of different Pokemon I want to draw into here, so we'll see what we get first off this. There's the Night Stretcher, very nice. This will guarantee us the KO, so we'll get ourselves the other Raging Bolt. We can use that Professor Sada's Vitality here. Gonna get ourselves we'll go here, yeah, go here and then there, and then yeah, okay, we'll go here and then there. Draw 3, 1, 2, 3. That's a lot of Mew. We'll go bench, use Teal Dance, draw 1. There's a Pokégear, quite nice. And use that Night Stretcher, getting ourselves that Lightning Energy, and there it is, another KO, nice and easy. And I also get to leave an energy on that bench Raging Bolt as well. We know they're down Prime Catcher 2, so they just kind of have to punch the active, meaning I just literally need Sada's at this point for game. We're gonna bench the Mew down, feels pretty good, and we'll use that Bellowing Thunder for 350 damage, taking the knockout. We can remove them both off the active because we know they're gonna have to go through this active. It's not like they can go Prime Catcher, bring up the bench Raging Bolt, and KO it. So I feel pretty good about these discards here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bellowing Thunder, 280 damage, taking that KO. Going down to 2 prizes. Things are feeling pretty good here. All right, there is a Fighting Energy as well. Yeah, pretty much just Sada's and I win the game. Honestly, I'm also very close to winning just with, for example, a Night Stretcher. Night Stretcher just gets me game as well here in this spot, just because I'm able to go Attach for turn, Teal Dance, Night Stretcher, Grass Energy, Teal Dance. So there's so many different ways to win. I actually just have another Grass, I think, in the deck for 5. Yeah, as long as the other Grass is in the deck, I could also just Crispin for game 2. So, or Boss's Orders. Yeah, should be good here. Should be good to go. Anyways, yep, there's that Night Stretcher. And, you know, once again, kind of one of the problems sometimes with Raging Bolt is that when you fall behind, you oftentimes have to keep Sadazine to try and keep pace with, you know, certain decks, even though like you're, you know, behind, it's like to not fall too far behind. But that, you know, requires, unfortunately, having to use Sadas over and over again, which means hand disruption cards aren't necessarily able to be used, like Judge or Iono, you know. Like, for example, like something like Judge is a lot better early game when you haven't necessarily fallen behind. So there's the energy attachment onto the Raging Bolt here. Most likely we'll see that Sada's Vitality. And yeah, we'll see what ends up happening here. Let's see what they end up doing. Yep, there's Earthen Vessel. Getting rid of that Full Art Crispin. Very cool artwork. Shuffling up the deck there. There is... Oh, looks like they are going for the hand disrupt play. Interesting. Okay. So they didn't have the Sadas, but they had the Judge. Ooh, okay. This makes things kind of weird. Now, I am just once again still a Sadas away from winning, but looks like they might prolong the game another turn. Yeah, there's Flip the Script. I'm surprised they're even doing this. I don't know why they ended up trying to do this, because this just gives me a whole other turn to like find the pieces that I need. I definitely think that this was like an interesting play, but ends up not working out. Looks like they concede. They kind of saw the writing was on the wall. I had so much time. If, you know, they just passed there, I can just go Attach for turn, Ultra Ball, Mew up, and then I have basically 2 full turns to find the pieces. Very, very likely I would have gotten there. And yeah, that was a pretty good showing of the Turbo variant, especially going second now. If that was against the Owl variant and they started Raging Bolt, same thing kind of would have happened, where we just would have, taken the lead and we probably would have been able to hold on to it, just because we got the turn 1 KO, which the Owl variant isn't necessarily as easily able to do. So that was the first game. Very good one there. Let's hop into another one. Alrighty, so hopping into it here, it looks like we're going up against potentially some type of Mewtwo deck. So we'll see how we're able to do against this. See what they're able to do. It looks like they got themselves the Rockets Proton to start off. Pretty good start there. Always trying to get that down quickly. Really, really important. They got themselves a whole lot of the Torntulas onto the board. But if we're able to get turn 1 attack, I feel pretty okay about this, which we do have in hand, which is great. So we're going to start here with the Ogerpon. Use that Teal Dance. Draw 1 card. Then we're going to use that Crispin to take the KO. Now, admittedly, I would have liked to do this in this situation with a Baby Raging Bolt, but, getting the guaranteed KO, I can't really complain that much. So, all right, we'll go here. Doesn't matter which one I put in the hand. I'm always going to attach it. Go attach for turn. Go here. And now at this point, I think I don't even want to squawk. I just don't want to get rid of these Night Stretchers. These Night Stretchers are potentially very important, and in these type of situations, I think just holding and playing conservatively is probably my best bet here. So we're going to take the knockout here, dealing 70 damage to that Torrentula. All that we need to do here. Now, the big question is how many Spite Ups are they able to get out? Because that's going to be the card that's going to be a little bit sketchy to deal with, as it can deal quite a bit of damage. It is also a 1-prizer, which sometimes can be uncomfortable for decks like Raging Bolt to deal with. So we'll see what ends up happening here. We see multiple, obviously, as they were able to use Proton turn 1, which is kind of a cool thing about these Rockets cards, is some of them have some pretty cool effects, and Proton is one of them, as it reads, you search your deck for up to 3 basic Team Rockets Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. However, if you go first, you get to use it, which is pretty cool. So here's the Ultra Ball here. Gonna see what they're able to get. The big question is Spite Ops on the way, and then potentially do they have the other energy? Because they can already attach with Spite Ops ability, so we'll see what else they have. See what they end up doing here. Yep, switch and the maximum belt. So that is the A-spec of choice. Good to see that hit the discard pile early, as that could create some KOs later on, I think, on some of my other 2-prize Pokemon. Looks like there is the Team Rockets Spite Ops evolving here with that Rocket Rush, dealing 30 times 30 for each Team Rockets Pokemon in play. There is the energy attachment, so we are going to be able to see a attack here. There is Archer. Pretty cool card, putting me down to 3, and not a great hand here as well. All right, there's the Rockets Factory coming out, drawing 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, we'll see how we're able to do against this. Definitely would have liked to attack with the Baby Bolt here, but looks like they aren't going to be able to really do a crazy whole lot here. Yeah, just Rocket Rush for 90. Not an insane amount of damage. Not super worrisome just yet, because we do force them to find multiple things on this next turn to be able to then attack again, or else my lead just, continues to grow and grow. So, all right, there is a Sada's and a Fighting in my hand, so I have some decisions to make on actually what I want to do here. I don't think I really want a Sada's. I guess I could, and then if I draw into Raging Bolt, I can attach. Honestly, I changed my mind. We'll Sada's here, because I just want to get myself another Raging Bolt, which is what I'm able to do. So yeah, there's Raging Bolt, there's attach for turn, and then I can just KO with the active pretty comfortably here. I'll go 1 and probably just get rid of this, because if they miss, then I should just be too far ahead anyways. So I think doing this is fine. Yep, seems fine. All right, 140 onto the Spite Ops, taking that down here. And now action back on them. They're going to have to definitely find a few pieces if they're actually going to be able to get this KO. They need themselves a Spite Ops. They need some more Rockets Pokemon on the bench as well. So it's looking okay for us. As long as they're not able to one-shot us, we do, we do have a 2-prize card lead. I just need to be careful on what I put on the board. I don't want to necessarily put too many easy liabilities for them to KO. There's Bravery Charm on the Fez. That's still really rough for them to put on the board, because now I can just prize race them. Even if they KO me here, If I go down to 3, then they punch me, then I go down to 2, and then they go down to 2. I just then, you know, need to find Prime Catcher over so many turns, and I'm going to see so much of my deck here as well. So, I feel pretty good now about this. Now, the unfortunate thing about benching the Fez, they definitely made a mistake there. They should have Ariana'd first before they put down Fez, because then they get to draw less cards. So I don't know why they did that, because it actually matters here. They could have Ariana'd up to 8, Factory up to 10, then Fez to 13. So yeah, that's just a really big mistake, and looks like they were not going to have the pieces they needed to take the W. So we got that win. But anyways, that's game number 2. Let's hop into one more. Here we are going up against a Dragapult deck. Now, they got the Dreepy and the Duskull here, plus an energy attachment turn 1. So we're going to be looking to take a knockout on this first turn on Duskull with that Thunderburst Storm. Now, one of the advantages that this Turbo variant has over the Noctowl variant is a Pokégear count of usually 2, sometimes even more, and also a heavier Crispin count as well. So much more likely to find that turn 1 Crispin to actually be able to attack with the Baby Raging Bolt. Now, it looks like I did prize an energy. I prized some things here. Not ideal. We'll get the Raging Bolt down. Seems fine. Get this down on the board. Definitely want this. I was like, I could bench Fan Rotom and then, like, trying to find the pieces. I guess I could also get Ogerpon here. Maybe just getting Ogerpon is, like, better in this spot. Because I'm all in on the Crispin Sada, or the Crispin play here. So I think thinning this all out is, like, fine. All right, we'll go Teal Dance. Draw 1. All right, there's Earthen Vessels. So that means I can just attack this turn with just Sadas, which is really good, actually. So, all right. We'll just get the 1 energy because I'm going to ship the rest of the hand here regardless. So we'll get 1 here. And then we'll go Professor Sadas. Get the Lightning. Draw 1, 2, 3. Go attach for turn. Bench Mew. Put down Area 0. And then Squawk and Seize. Unfortunately, losing that Superior is kind of sad, but is what it is. Get ourselves the... Oh, I don't actually want to bench this Raging Bolt just because I don't want them to trap it with Itchy Pollen. Also use the Nest Ball as long as there's a Latias, which I believe, yeah, there was not Latias in the deck, so I need to be careful in this situation. I can grab a Fezandipiti here. I guess I could also just grab second Ogerpon. Let's grab second Ogerpon here. I think that's fine. Yeah, prizing the Latias is definitely quite unfortunate, but all good. Go Teal Dance, draw 1. Bench that third Ogerpon. I just want a lot of Ogerpons on the board. It just means I can draw out of situations. And then we'll just go Thunderburst Storm, take the KO on Duskull. It also means there's like really nothing they can trap here. I mean, they could trap the Squawk, but everything else can be moved. So I feel pretty good about this. Just going Snipe KO seems fine. Love to pull Latias off the prize cards that make it much easier. We pull the Fighting Energy. So we have a Lightning prized. Some other stuff too. There's the Iono being used. Bolt going on the bottom. It's completely fine. I just don't want it on the board yet. There's Bolt. There's Earthen Vessel. That's good. Good stuff to have on the board here. There's the Buddy Buddy Puffin being used. And we can just snipe again. Now, they definitely need to find energy here, or else I can just snipe the only thing with energy, and it becomes pretty bad for them. So we'll see what they're able to do here. But yeah, consistency. Being able to get that attack pretty easily there. I mean, we had it even before we Squawkabilly. So that's one of the big reasons why I like this build, is it's able to do that a little bit more frequently. So anyways, here's a Buddy Puffin being used here. Probably going to get themselves double Dreepy at this point. They could also get Dreepy plus Duskull. But at that point, then I can snipe one of their Dreepies, and then they're only down to 1, and that's just really shaky. So they probably have to value here getting heavier Dreepies if they have access to them. So we'll see. If they did prize 1, they wouldn't be able to do that because one's already in the discard pile. Oh, there's double Duskull. Okay, that's a sign there's either a Dreepy in hand or they prized 2. Or they have another way to search one out. And it looks like they do not have that just yet. All right, here is the Fezandipiti coming out here. We do see the Artisan too. Maybe they do have it and they're just sequencing this interestingly. Okay, so they did end up having it. So I was about to say, I was like, dang, prizing double Dreepy feels really rough. That's for sure. All right, flip the script for 3. They really need to find energy here because they need to split onto Dreepy or, you know, Dracloak Evolve and then, you know, attach to the bench one. You have options, but none of them feel necessarily very great here, actually. So we'll see what they end up doing. All right, there's Candy. Ooh, into the Dragapult. They do play Candy. That's not very expected, admittedly. I don't know why. Okay. That's very surprising that they have that. Okay, well, that changes things quite a bit here. We're just going to Teal Dance, just split all the energies. 1-1-1. That's fine. Let's see what we get here. Now, unfortunately, because I did prize a couple energies, this is a little bit tricky. I guess I could go Crispin and KO this. That's like fine. Leave them with kind of a hindered board state. Because like if they Ogerpon, this doesn't matter. Alright, yeah, we'll go Crispin 1-2. Put this into hand. Attach the fighting energy. Yeah, we'll just take Dreepy here. Seems pretty good. Alright, we'll go Teal Dance, draw 1. There's Prime Catcher. Alright, Thunderburst Storm, just KO Dreepy here. Down goes the Dreep. Take another prize. There's a Night Stretcher. That's not bad. At this point, it just comes down to, can I find Sadas? Because if they go into Dragapult this turn, then I'm just a Sadas away from KO. There's so many energy on the board at this point. They might just have to deal with this Raging Bolt as well. They could potentially set up double Dusclops here and start doing like Dusknoir shenanigans, which also is kind of sketchy as well. So definitely very winnable for them. You know, very winnable. If they get the energy attachment, we don't know exactly what A-Spec they're playing. That's also one of the things about Dragapult nowadays, is Dragapult's like lists kind of fluctuate, especially when it comes to like whether or not they play the Arven, you know, like whether or not they play Unfair Stamp, or things like Neo Upper Energy. That's kind of the, you know, new hot card in the standard format is the Neo Upper Energy. But anyways, there's Buddy Huffing coming out here. See if they get down another Dreepy. Maybe they didn't prize any and they just kind of wanted to do it like this where they got double Dusk cooldown. I guess they chose to do it like this. This is very interesting. I don't know why they ended up doing this. I definitely would have probably valued getting double Dreepy down last turn, but is what it is, not complaining. But yeah, I guess what do they do here? If they go Counter Catcher Ogerpon, that's like insanely risky because then they just like kind of get put in a really bad spot if I just have an energy, and it's so likely I have it. You know, like I have an energy here, so I think that going for just Phantom Dive seems like their best play in this spot. Definitely seems like that's the play they want to do, but we're going to see exactly what they end up doing here. We'll figure out if they have the Unfair Stamp or not, probably based off this. It's like they got Counter Catcher and TM Evo. Oh goodness, what are they cooking here? Are they going to try and counter? Oh, I guess they can go like Counter KO Mew. That's like fine. That kind of puts me in a weird spot. They could take, I guess, 2 here and then try and take 4 the next turn. But if I KO the Dragapult this coming turn, they would need to have Rare Candy, Neo Upper Energy. They need a lot, basically. And yeah, okay. Wow, they're going to try and TM Evo here with the Badoo. Wow, okay. They don't use the Counter Catcher as well. That's really risky, but I mean, I don't really have a way to kill the Dragapult, unfortunately. That's like one problem here with this. I don't actually have a stadium to be able to, you know, open up this board state. But if I did, I'd just have a pretty easy KO here if I can find a Sada. So that's kind of sketchy for sure. All right, we're going to start here with the Earthen Vessel. Get rid of this Iron Leaves. I do not need this card. We'll get you. Put you into hand, and I guess we'll put the Fighting 2 into hand. We'll go Teal Dance, draw 1. At this point, I think I just snipe Dusclops here. All right, there's Boss's Orders. That's not bad. I don't really need it at this point. I think just like sniping the Dragon Headbutt, KOing the Dusclops seems fine here. I could attach to... How much am I doing here? 60, 90, 120, 150... I'm like trying to figure out if I could actually ramp this thing up enough to put it in range to like hit for 210 into something like Fezandipiti at some point, but most likely not. So, all right, I feel okay doing this. We'll just Thunderburst Storm, take out the Dusclops here, and should be okay, but you never know, right? You know, hand disruption can be really sketchy here. I guess if they go Counter Catcher Iono, like KO the Mew, then that's like really an uncomfortable spot to be in. So Good thing about that, though, is that if they do Dusclops, they do put us down to 2, which then just means it's pretty much a Raging Bolt and a Sada's and a Stretcher away from winning. Okay, there is the Dusknoir. So this means that, yeah, 4 prizes is on the way here if they want it. They want to take 4 prizes, and I think you kind of have to. It's like if you get this 4 prize play and then I miss game, you just win the game the next turn, which is really one of the scary things about this Dusknoir Dragapult variant, is it's very capable of doing things like this. Now, if they miss here, then I'm looking okay. As I have the double Raging Bolt in hand, I'd be able to go Night Stretcher, draw another card off Teal Dance, potentially, Fez. So the big thing is that if they have the Iono here, if they have the Iono, it's definitely looking sketchy. If they don't, I have probably a favorable chance of finding the pieces that I need to finish off the game. Now, Crispin is not really an out just because I don't have the energies in the deck, unfortunately. Okay, they do play Sparkling Crystal. That's the one they play. That's the other one I didn't really mention. I was mainly focusing on Unfair Stamp and Neo Upper. But since there's so many aggressive decks in the format and decks that kind of can pressure your energies, that's the reason as to why we're seeing things like Neo Upper and Sparkling Crystal start to see more play in these builds. All right, there is the bench of the Dreepy. See what they end up doing here. The big question is do they have the Iono? Now, they have still access to Fezandipiti too. They didn't choose to do it this turn. Maybe they... No, you always Fez here. Yeah, I was about to say, like, maybe they, like, are gonna... Okay. What are they doing here? Oh, they're bringing this up. I guess just hitting this for 200 is, like, also fine. Oh, they're just Phantom Diving. Whoa. They're not Dusknoring. Well, now I can just kill their Dusknoir. Because I can, like, retreat this, go into... like Squawk, Stretcher, the Grass, Teal Dance, attach, return, Prime Catcher, KO, Dusknoir, right? 1690. Oh wait, no, it has 160. Oh, I can't do that actually. Okay, that's annoying. Well, they can't take 6. Can they take 6 prizes next turn? They can go. Yeah, they can. They can take all 6 next turn. Well, that's not good. What do I do here then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to get this off the board, or I need to take at least 2 prizes in any way possible. I guess we'll go Vessel. Yeah, it's not there. I'm just a little short here from getting what I need. I can go retreat 60, 90, 120. Night Stretcher. Teal Dance. Area 0? Oh, that's not bad. Okay, now my board expands. So how much am I doing? 60, 90, 120. I could go up to 150. That doesn't KO this. That's obviously an issue. Now, I could also just go for Sada's KO on the active. Or on the active. I can't do that because I would have to go KO on the Fezandipiti here. I could just YOLO it, which I think is probably my best play, is to like try and do that. So we'll go here. Attach, return, yeah, 60, 90, 120. If I just had enough to, if I had enough to KO this with Teal Mask, I'd feel great, but I don't. So how many Sadas do I have? 3 Sadas, multiple gears left. I like my chances. There's a fighting in there. Yeah, we'll go here. We'll go Prime Catcher. Bring up the Fez, because going down to 1 is fine. Here. I guess I can Nest Ball and then Ultra Ball that thins more. I have a Raging Bolt in the deck. Yeah, we'll go here, Raging Bolts. And then we'll Ultra Ball for second Mew. Get second Mew. Mew for 3. Oh no! Oh, dude, I didn't draw anything. Oh, no. There's 3 Sadas and Deccan Gears. No. Oh, my God. How did I miss? Oh, that is super bad now. Well, I guess I kind of in a weird spot if I could, like, Burst Roar here, but I don't need to. I think I just well, that's so unfortunate. Okay, well, now this sucks. All I needed was Sadas, and I get Sadas and I KO here, and then I just win, basically. Because I have too much energy on the board. I can leave both the bolts with energy. Oh, my goodness. No. Oh, no. We lose if they have the stuff. No. All right, so they were able to get it there. The big question is which variant is better? You know, I kind of wanted to show this game off because I thought it was really close. I like to show sometimes me losing because it shows that I try and make these, you know, videos authentic and things like that. So I think the deck is solid overall. I think it has potential. I'm not 100% sure if it's better than the Owl variant, but there are some benefits that it has, especially, you know, at the beginning of the game, it's a lot better, but sometimes they're, you know, they are able to, you know, do things like that. So anyways, that's going to do it today for the video. If you enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the deck in the comments, which one you think is better. But anyways, this is Smart TCG. I'll speak with you guys again soon. Peace out.